Well, there's our intro, mate. It's John. In this video, we're going to have a look at how to safely tether launch your kite from your vehicle. Okay, so first things first, a really important part of this tether launch is to make sure that when you park your car directly into the wind. I'll explain a little bit towards the end of the video exactly why we do that, but for now, just make sure you're parking straight into the wind. You'll see now I'm going to set my kite up as normal. I'm leaving the kite downwind of the car right now while I'm setting it up. But you'll see in a moment, once it's inflated, I'm actually going to place that kite upwind of my car. That will be a little bit more clear when we go for our tether launch, exactly why I've done that, but always make sure your kite is upwind of your car at this point. Now you'll see I'm just going to set my lines up to the kite as normal before we can tether launch the kite. Okay, so you see now I've got my tether. I'm going to make that a lark's head knot on the end. I'm going to connect that to the tow ball of the car. So what's going to happen now, I'm going to take my bar and lines and I'm going to connect this to our tether. First thing it's going to connect, I'm going to get the carabiner on the end of the tether and connect that to the chicken loop. Once that's connected, I can go and pick the kite up. I'm then going to walk the kite up, making sure that kite stays upwind of that tether point. You see I'm walking it out, I'm still upwind of where the tether is. I'm going to walk it out to maximum line length, and once I get there, I'm then going to start walking that kite downwind to find the wind. Once I get to the point where I'm close to knowing that the kite is ready to launch, it'll start to feel like it wants to pick up. You just make sure you spend a little bit of time here to make sure that kite is totally stable. Don't just walk away from it straight away, hold it there for a second, make sure it's in a perfectly stable point. Once you're happy with that, you can make your way up to your bar. I would suggest doing this fairly quickly, as this is a point where you don't want to leave that kite hanging on the beach too long. Once I get here, I'm going to put my safety leash in first. Then I'm going to take the carabiner off, at which point I'll grab the center line and pull that chicken loop onto my harness. At that point, we can launch the kite as normal. I like to use the relaunch handle, and then we're going out for a kite. Okay, so I'm now going to safely land my kite off the tether. So I'm going over downwind of the car. I'm going to bring the kite down onto the beach. Once the kite is down and steady on the beach, I'll make sure it stays there nice and easy, just like when you're landing the kite normally. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to put the carabiner back onto my chicken loop and then release my safety leash. Make sure it's in that order, that's really important. Then I'm going to pull the center line and take my chicken loop off. What you'll notice now is I step over that line carefully and I'm going upwind of my kite. This way, if there is a problem and the kite does fall downwind, I'm not in any danger. Once I get to the kite, I'm just going to pick it up as normal, and then it's safely secure. All right, I'm just going to show you why it's important that this car is parked into the wind. You see now, this is the point where the kite will be launching from. Now what happens here, this is my pull point. If I have a problem now and the kite launches up and it goes to the opposite side of the window, it shouldn't do, but if it does, it's going to allow this rope to come up, over, and land down over here, so there's no obstruction in the way. Now, if you're not parked properly with the car into the wind, what can happen is, let's just say we're parked in this position here, this could come up from the launch, hit something on my car, catch the edge of the car, and then you are massively in the shit. Because what will happen now is if the kite comes up, instead of landing on the opposite side of the wind window, it'll actually crash and become out of control. That's why it's so important that when you park, if you're parking straight into the wind.